The dragons of King's Landing have finally fallen silent, but in the shadows of the Reach, a lethal trap has just been sprung. For weeks, Team Black believed they had captured Daeron Targaryen, securing a massive victory that would break the spirit of the Green faction once and for all. But the boy locked in the dark cells of Dragonstone is a ghost, a brilliant piece of misdirection by Lord Ormund Hightower to keep Rhaenyra's eyes fixed on the capital while the real threat gathered in the south. Right now, a devastating ambush is unfolding outside the gates of Tumbleton, and as the smoke clears from the blood-soaked tree-line, a terrifying truth is about to come to light. The youngest son of Alicent Hightower is not only alive and free, but he has just unleashed a weapon that will rewrite the rules of this entire war. The Great Hall of the Red Keep is colder than it has ever been, despite the summer heat beating down on the city walls. Rhaenyra Targaryen sits upon the Iron Throne, her fingers tightly gripping the cold, jagged blades of the seat that cost her so many lives to reclaim. To the common people outside the castle gates, the war for King's Landing is over, and Team Black stands victorious. The golden dragons of Aegon II have been torn down from the battlements, replaced by the dark, multi-headed red banners of the Queen. But inside the council chambers, there is no celebration, only the crushing weight of a crown that feels heavier with each passing hour. Rhaenyra looks down at her advisors, her face pale and exhausted, her mind racing with the cost of this triumph. She believed that by securing the capital and locking away who she thought was Daemon Targaryen, she had cut off the head of the Hightower rebellion. It felt like the definitive turning point in the Dance of the Dragons, a moment where the realm would finally see that the Greens had no pieces left to play. Yet, a deep, unsettling silence hangs over the room, the kind of quiet that always. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away in the damp, mist-covered forests just outside Tumbleton, that storm is already breaking with savage fury. A large supply caravan and an escort of Team Black dragon keepers are marching through a narrow, muddy valley, believing they are completely safe within territory they supposedly control. The air is thick with the smell of wet earth and pine, and the only sounds are the creaking of wooden wagon wheels and the rhythmic tramping of boots. Suddenly, the silence of the woods is shattered by the sharp, terrifying twang of crossbows firing from the dense tree-line. Before the guards can even draw their swords, a hail of iron bolts rips through the front lines, dropping men into the mud. Panic instantly takes hold as the escort realizes they are completely surrounded by an enemy they never saw coming. Soldiers scream out orders that are instantly drowned out by the chaotic clash of steel against steel as Hightower men-at-arms pour out from the shadows of the trees. It is not a battle, it is a meticulously planned slaughter designed to wipe out Rhaenyra's forces in the Reach before they can even realize they are under attack. In the middle of the chaotic slaughter, the black soldiers look around frantically for any sign of help, but the trap has been sprung too perfectly. The banners of House Hightower, vibrant green and stark white, rise from the brush like ghosts coming to life. The ambushers move with a terrifying level of discipline, cutting down the confused dragon keepers who were sent south to secure the region. Wagons are overturned, horses rear up in absolute terror, and the ground quickly turns into a slick mire of blood and mud. The commander of the Black Escort tries to rally his remaining men, shouting for them to form a defensive wall, but his voice is cut short by a brutal strike from a Hightower knight. The deception is total, and the victory Team Black celebrated back in the capital begins to dissolve into absolute horror. Out here in the wilderness, every piece of news Rhaenyra received about the southern front was a lie, carefully fed to her spies by Lord Ormund Hightower to lure her army into a state of false confidence. As the last few black soldiers are driven to their knees, the chaotic noise of the battle suddenly dies down, replaced by a strange, heavy stillness that makes the hairs on the back of the soldiers' necks stand up. The wind shifts, carrying a sudden, unnatural heat that dries the sweat on the men's faces. From the smoky edge of the forest, a figure steps forward into the clearing, walking calmly past the bodies of the fallen as if he were walking through a palace garden. He wears polished, dark armor accented with the green of Old Town, but it is his features that strike absolute dread into the hearts of the surviving prisoners. Beneath his helmet, long strands of unmistakable silver-gold Targaryen hair fall across his shoulders, and his violet eyes burn with a cold, focused intensity. This is not the frightened boy locked away in Dragonstone, this is the real Prince Daeron Targaryen, healthy, heavily armed, and completely free. The trap is finally complete, and the illusion of a peaceful victory for Team Black is shattered in a single, terrifying second. The true horror of the situation reveals itself fully as Daeron raises his gauntlet hand toward the gray sky above the treeline. A massive, deep shadow suddenly blankets the entire valley, accompanied by a sound that makes the earth beneath their feet vibrate with raw power. A sleek, stunning creature drops down through the low clouds, landing with a heavy thud that sends a shockwave through the mud. It is Tessarion, the Blue Queen, her cobalt-blue scales shimmering beautifully against the dark, metallic bronze of her belly and crest. She is smaller than the ancient beasts like Vermithor, but she moves with a terrifying, lethal agility, her jaws snapping as bright blue sparks crackle deep within her throat. Day. The heavy oak doors of the chamber on Dragonstone slam shut with a sound like a thunderclap, vibrating through the stone walls of the ancient fortress. Inside, the atmosphere is suffocating, thick with the smell of burning tallow candles and the bitter scent of stale wine. Daemon Targaryen stands over the massive painted table, his knuckles pressed so hard against the carved wooden map of Westeros that his skin turns completely white. His dark sister, the Valyrian steel blade Dark Sister, hangs loosely at his hip, but his hand constantly twitches toward the hilt, an unspoken promise of violence. The news from the south has just arrived by Raven, its message written in hurried, ink-smeared script that has effectively undone weeks of careful military planning. The boy they have locked away in the lowest, darkest dungeon of the castle, the boy they paraded in chains as a trophy to break the spirit of the Hightowers, is nothing more than a peasant look-alike. A common tavern boy from Old Town with silver hair and a well-rehearsed manner of speaking, bought and paid for by the Greens to play the ultimate trick on the Black Council. Daemon lets out a low, dangerous laugh that sounds like breaking glass, turning his fierce gaze toward the maesters and scouts gathered at the edge of the room. He demands to know how a deception of this magnitude could have bypassed their network of spies, how the greatest dragon riders in the world could be blinded by a simple piece of theatrical misdirection. Every report they relied upon, every scout's whisper about the movements of the youngest prince, was part of a grand illusion orchestrated by Lord Ormund Hightower. While Team Black wasted precious time and resources securing the capital and celebrating a false capture, the true Prince Daeron was quietly gathering a massive army in the Reach, completely hidden from their sight. The realization settles into the room like a cold poison. The Greens have not been defeated, they have simply been